glad that you allowed me to participate in this, because it is important to teach people these very, very safe alternative ways to live happily and healthily. So it's really important to use your brain in a way that keeps you healthy mentally and physically and emotionally and spiritually. Every thought is a prayer. Thinking sets in motion spiritual forces to bring about change in body, mind, emotions, companions, hopes, and despair. So that's what it's all about, is training your thinking in all ways possible, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You need to get in touch with your higher self, the real you, the soul. And of course, all great disciplines wind up there.
Our next presenter, Norm Shealy, is on the line. Dr. Norm Shealy is the grandfather of energy medicine in America, so it's such a pleasure and honor to have you on our summit, and it's something that I think we will also be able to experience as kind of a integration or merging of several disciplines. That's something that you are well known for.
Well, interestingly, of course, I've looked at all aspects that I can. Anything that's safe, I like to look at. And I began coming out of the box in 1971 because I was so convinced that too many people were being operated, too many people were being drugged. And in 1971, I just stopped all conventional medicine, and I will only do things that are safe. And I discovered before biofeedback came out, autogenic training. Autogenic training actually has been around since 1912. When I discovered it, there were 2,600 scientific references. Now there are 28,000 scientific references. It was so powerful that I went back in 74 to 77 to get a PhD in psychology to understand it better, and developed 60 different exercises, all mental. And I really think it's like mental Qigong.
Right.
You can train the brain to do whatever you choose. For instance, in 1976, the only time in my life I've ever had a sinus infection, it was so bad that I had to have surgery. So I said to the anesthesiologist, give me 20 minutes and I will be ready. 20 minutes later, I said, okay, go ahead. So they go through my nose. I can hear the bone crunching. They're cutting stuff right up to the sphenoid sinus, way back in the middle. No pain whatsoever. That is using what I sometimes call it a mental Tai Chi or mental Qigong, autogenic training. If you will train your brain for 3 months, then you can detach from all of the nonsense in the world. And most of the world has a lot of nonsense in it, and today is the greatest nonsense, I believe, in all times. However, I don't waste my time wondering about it. I don't waste my time complaining about it. I just detach. My favorite word in the entire world is detach. So what you do with autogenic training is you practice just 6 phrases. Each of you repeat very, very slowly. My arms and legs are heavy and warm. My heartbeat is calm and regular. My breathing is free and easy. My abdomen is warm. My forehead is cool. My mind is quiet and still. You finish that, you are truly at peace. And your EEG will be often in gamma. Gamma is the aha, who cares state of consciousness. In fact, I think its greatest benefit was found to be in Buddhist monks who practiced 8 hours a day meditation for years. But there are certain specific exercises. For instance, I'd like people to hear the 3 exercises that can help you control pain, especially. One of those is an American Indian technique of collecting and releasing. You use your breath to collect sensations, starting at your feet, and every breath you just collect all sensation 2 times each part of the body, You sweep the whole body so that at the end, you're ready for meditation. And then the East Indian approach to this is breathing through the skin. In fact, I read a book way back in the early 70s. The first day you do not breathe through a part of the skin, it starts to die. And so I learned that if I, for instance, just imagine breathing only in and out through the skin of my right hand, I can make my right hand numb enough to have surgery. Well, for the surgical procedure in 77, I made this part numb. So you could do that with any part of the body. And then third, another technique that I added in 1972 is be aware that we have this electromagnetic energy field. It's called the aura. And people who've seen paintings of Christ or saints, they have this electromagnetic field around them. Well, you can start at your feet and imagine you're expanding this energy field by 1 inch and you get to the whole body. Then you start over at 12 inches. When you mentally feel your entire body encased in a 12-inch energy field, you sense it, you feel it, you see it, your body becomes totally numb. Your whole body becomes numb. But your mind is brilliantly alert and creative. And so that's the kind of thing that I've worked with for, well, almost 50 years.
Well, it's also a form of self-hypnosis, isn't it?
Exactly. And then, and some 30 years ago, I had an idea that maybe the chakras had specific frequencies. And I thought the first chakra should start at 7.83 Earth frequency. And each additional chakra would add another layer to that. But my guide said, well, yes, but we're not clones. So it's plus or minus 2. So it's like 5.83 to 7 times 7.83 plus 2, which is 56.81. I finally got an engineer to make me a PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic frequency device. If you just you can put it on a cap, but I just wanted to show it this way because of research I've done over the last 2+ years. We took 10 long-standing opioid addicts, 23 years of being totally addicted and never able to wean from them. Within a month of starting to use this an hour or 2 a day, their cravings began to go away. And by the end of the first year, no cravings whatsoever. They're now out of prison and functioning in a normal society, just from using this an hour or 2 every day, because this puts the brain into optimal gamma frequency.
Into optimal gamma frequency through meditation or through a certain device. You can also go to sleep.
Of course.
It's also another way to put your brain into gamma.
Well, its greatest benefit is in getting rid of anxiety and depression. But my 2 favorite cases, well, 3 maybe now. I had a young child, 5-year-old, with panda syndrome, which is a very severe neurologic disorder. She is normal today. I had a man who had the worst case of Parkinson's I've ever seen. He was brought in a wheelchair with 2 people holding him to put him on the table. He couldn't put his feet on the floor. 1 month later, he walked 40 feet into the clinic just from using this 2 hours a day.
Amazing.
And I had a woman with early Alzheimer's. She couldn't tell you the time of day, let alone what day of the week it was. Within a month, she could recite the seasons and the days and all that. So it is a wonderful adjunct. To me, anything that is safe is worth trying. And certainly Qigong and Tai Chi are wonderful as well. I happen to have focused more concentratedly on using the mind. That's been my interest. That's why I went into neurosurgery, because I was interested in the mind. I didn't realize that neurosurgery is interested in the brain, but not the mind. But I was more interested in the mind, and that's why I focused on that. And then I need to point out, especially in today's world, that the average American is lacking 1 to 5 essential health habits. And that includes nutrition, of course. But 97.3% of Americans are lacking 1 to 5 of absolutely life-enhancing essential habits. Over 73% of Americans are plain fat, overweight significantly. When you are 40 pounds overweight, your life expectancy is the same as someone who smokes 3 packs of cigarettes a day.
That's pretty severe. They say that
And
sitting is new smoking. So
yeah, and 22% of people still smoke plus are overweight. The average American eats 2.2 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. I eat 20. I start my day with 20 in the morning in a slush. Exercise. Only 10% of Americans get adequate physical activity. Only 10%. I get 2 hours every morning before I start the day.
right.
But minimum for health is 30 minutes, 5 days a week. Well, I do 120 minutes, 7 days a week, but that's because I like it. And of course, sleep. The average American, well, it's average is bad on that. About 42% of Americans do not get 7 or 8 hours of sleep. When you get 6 hours or less of sleep, you function at the level of slightly drunk. There are more automobile accidents caused by people who get adequate sleep than are by alcohol. So the average American is missing basic nutrition, vitamin D, especially, magnesium, B complex. You know, the brain needs B1, B2, B3, B6 just to function.
Well, D3 also is something we can apparently create endogenously just by exposure to sunlight, correct?
Oh, of course, exactly. And whenever I can, I spend an hour or more outside just for fun, although I usually do it while I'm working in my garden. But the important thing is we have one responsibility, in my opinion, in life, and that's to take care of ourselves so that we can do what we came to do, which is to help other people.
Right.
And so I do believe that people should pay attention to these things and train their brains in all ways possible, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You need to get in touch with your higher self, the real you, the soul. And of course, all great disciplines wind up there.
Indeed. And that also, again, comes back to self-agency and self-responsibility.
Exactly.
And that comes from feeling empowered. If people are disempowered, they don't feel like they can be fully responsible for themselves. They would much rather relegate the responsibility to somebody else, be it a doctor or a health insurance or whoever is going to take care of them financially and medically. They seek medical attention, but they usually get the medical part. They don't get the attention part.
Yes. In acute illness, medicine is pretty good. You know, go to the emergency room. But if it's a chronic problem, in my opinion, if it's not really well on the way to being healed within 6 weeks, conventional medicine sucks.
Right.
One of my favorite statements is, I do not know any chronic disease for which I would accept any drug whatsoever in the world.
Right, absolutely. In other words, chronic disease is the insider job. Nobody does diabetes to us. Nobody does obesity to us. We basically are responsible for addressing our own health needs and concerns. And that's probably something that also comes with a certain mental acuity or a certain state of mental agility, if you will, where you're not stuck in a particular perspective.
I absolutely agree. You know, at 87 years of age, I still feel 26, mentally and physically. And I still work full time. And I'm just finishing my 37th book. But that's because I've practiced these things all my life. I have been interested in the brain, the mind, and health since I was 4 years of age, but especially since I went to college, and I've never turned back to look at anything else. But again, the person who made these, to me, is just as important as I am. The person who made my watch is as important as I am, because if I had to do that, I couldn't do what I do. So it's really important to use your brain in a way that keeps you healthy mentally and physically and emotionally and spiritually. Every thought is a prayer. Thinking sets in motion spiritual forces to bring about change in body, mind, emotions, companions, hopes, and despair. So that's what it's all about, is training your thinking.
That's what it's all about. If we realize that we're living our lives in a dream-like fashion, we basically are not awake in what the true nature of our experience is, then of course we are constantly dreaming up our experiences unbeknownst to ourselves. And so that is exactly where these mental practices become particularly helpful. That's where meditation practice becomes really effective. That's where all the other applications of not only physical moves and kung fu, but also visualization practices, autogenic training, self-hypnosis, and other practices that address the internals of our entire system.
Exactly. The important thing is to take responsibility and to use your time responsibly to do what you came to do, which again is to help other people.
Yes, so we're going to have a panel discussion where several well-respected experts will be able to share their perspectives and also learn from each other and potentially find some solutions to both the crisis that we all together experience nowadays, and also perhaps how to find some silver linings to what we're going through.
Great, sounds wonderful to me. I'm so glad that you allowed me to participate in this, because it is important to teach people these very, very safe alternative ways to live happily and healthily.